Hey guys, it's Charles Austin here with the International Wingfoiling Organization, and today we're going to be talking about how to balance better when foiling. So a lot of people, when they get into wingfoiling, one of the parts that they struggle with is actually balancing whether on the board to get up to foiling or once they actually get foiling. So let's start off with the basics. How does a hydrofoil actually work? A lot of people compare a hydrofoil to the wings of an airplane, where basically, as you get forward momentum, as you get forward speed, you start generating lift. And as you start generating lift, then of course the board and the foil and yourself that's going to be standing on top of the board is going to start rising. Eventually, let's just say that the water's here and your foil is right under. If you keep rising, eventually you're going to have a breaching moment where the foil will come out of the water and you're going to lose all stability because it is not a flying carpet, as some might say it is. So what is important to understand is sort of what goes behind the hydrofoil. And the simplest terms is that as you generate forward speed or momentum, you start generating lift. And what's going to have to happen is that you have to counterbalance that. So we're going to be including some videos here of how someone who is progressing could encounter some sort of mistakes while they're progressing. But to do a bit of an example here on land, so here we got the board and we have the hydrofoil under. So essentially, as we're going to be getting speed going forward, the board is eventually going to start lifting. And it's going to be lifting, if you can see where my hand is, from around here it's going to feel like the lift is going to come. So the nose is going to be coming out and going like this. Now, how do we counterbalance that? Or how do we counteract that force that we're generating? Well, essentially, it's by applying forward pressure. This is why a lot of people who ask, how do I apply pressure when wingfoiling? It's a little bit different than other sports because it's counterintuitive in the sense where you want to apply forward pressure instead of backward pressure, where in some sports you might want to do this. So essentially, what we're going to be doing in this example is that you're going to see some of the common mistakes, which is going to be leaning too far back, and essentially the foil shoots up out of the water. Or putting too much weight forward where the foil actually doesn't have enough power and doesn't generate sufficient lift. To counterbalance all that force you're putting down, and you actually never get foiling. Those are the two common mistakes to get up and out of the water. Now, once you're on foil, what you're going to want to realize is that the axis that you're working on is just the foil, right? So all we're going to have is this mast, which, as you can tell, is just one thin line, and then we have the foil under. So this means that we can oscillate very easily. So if our weight is either too much on one side or too much on the other, we're going to feel that drastically because of the pivot point or the point of where we're at with the foil in the water. So essentially, what we're going to be wanting to do when we're foiling is maintaining sufficient forward pressure on the board when we're generating speed, and then also ensure that we're not leaning too far forward or too far backwards at the same time. Because if we lean too far forward, well, first of all, it's very dangerous, where the foil might come back to us because we're going to be falling onto it. And the other one, if we're leaning too far back, then we're always going to be shooting ourselves back or shooting ourselves too far up into the wind, and we're not going to be working with the equipment. So this is why it's important to understand what the wing does, what the board does and its volume and the size and the shape of it, as well as what does the foil do for us when we're out there on the water. If we understand that, then we have a bit of a better chance to sort of put it all together, because it is a lot of information and it is a lot of sort of moving parts that you have to make sure you do it in a proper way to sort of put it all together. That's why I like to almost say that wingfoiling is a little bit like a ballet, because even though you might see some guys and they're doing it very easily and it looks like they're really not doing much and they're just standing there and riding, there's actually a lot of micro adjustments and things that are happening that you just can't really see. So in any case, guys, that's what you're gonna wanna remember, just to quickly summarize, is that as you generate forward speed or forward momentum, you're gonna be then generating lift. And as we generate lift, we're gonna wanna counterbalance that with forward pressure down onto the foil, which is gonna rebalance it and essentially keep it flat and parallel to the water, to the board, so it doesn't shoot out of the water or it doesn't nosedive into the water. And then the sort of the 3D dimensional side of it is that we're gonna wanna make sure we're not putting our weight or leaning over either forward and or backwards, because that's gonna also mess us up. So it's a bit of putting all those things together and essentially maintaining a bit of a neutral position to then master the foiling side of this sport, which is everything. So in any case, guys, it's Charles Osterling with the International Wingfoiling Organization, and you're gonna be seeing right in a moment some sort of do's and don'ts to put this all together. And what I'd recommend is that if you have any questions about other things like selecting the right board, selecting the right wing, and well, this is the foil, or selecting the right wing, then check out the channel so you can see those videos. But for now, let's learn how to master the hydrofoil. Hey guys, so as you just saw there in the video, we did the exercise that we're practicing here on shore onto the water, which is going from knee to standing while maintaining an overall neutral distribution of weight and balance. Not too much weight forward, not too much weight backwards, nor leaning side to side. And that right there of doing this exercise on the shore and then practicing it while you're out there in the water, you're gonna see is really gonna help out, because more you practice on land, better off you're gonna be when you get into the water. And it doesn't mean you need to spend hours and hours and hours on the land, but anything you need to refine or sort of develop or visualize is great to do it here on land. Because when you're on the water, sometimes it's a little bit more tricky, especially if you're in a spot like this that has some shore break, has some choppiness to it. Then practicing exercises here on land before going out there into the water is gonna be key to having a smoother progression in your wingfoiling. And in any case, as you saw in that video, if I lean too far back, the foil shoots out of the water. If I lean too far forward, the foil never comes out of the water. And if I either lean forward or backwards, I will go one way or the other. So all these little details, when you put them together, is what's gonna help you get foiling and have an experience that's overall efficient, positive, and most importantly, safe. So all right, guys, this is Charles Osterling with the International Wingfoiling Organization, and I hope that this video brought you some value, and we'll see you in the next one.